Hello everybody, Maven here, and if you are a Warlock main, I am guessing you headed into the Edge of Fate on a Starfire Protocol build because of the huge buff that it just got. And I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing other content creators have already covered this updated Starfire Protocol build just because of how insane it is right now. It's like easily top 3 builds in the game, if not the top most premier build in the game to be playing right now. It's hyper meta, insanely good. But as an attempt to stand out from the other creators, I decided to throw the Sunbracers into this video as well to go head to head with the Starfire Protocol. They're both insanely juiced up by these solar artifact mods right now, and we're going to figure out once and for all what is the best Solar Warlock Grenade Build at the moment. So let's break it down. And also, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Do not miss out because we got a lot of daily Edge of Fate content on the way. So I hope you enjoy. Shout out to our sponsor, Advanced GG, the #1 gaming supplement in the world. Use code MAVEN at checkout for 10% off. Link down below. Thank you. All right, so right off the bat, to preface this, I am on the same boat as you. I also thought that Starfire Protocol would just be overwhelmingly just like overshadowing the Sunbracers entirely, and there's like not even a point to showing Sunbracers in this video, but just wait. Like, the Sunbracers actually surprised me. It's actually pretty good and really holds up. But let's first go over the Starfire Protocol because that is the star of the show, not just for today, but for Edge of Fate in general. This thing is just nutty. So let me read off the patch notes here. So they increase the fusion grenade energy gain from dealing empowered damage from 2.5% to 5%, so straight up doubled, but reduce the fusion grenade energy gain from final blows from 20% to 15%, which I'm telling you is not noticeable whatsoever. If anything, it's even better than it was before because of the way that the stat changes work. So any instances that would give you any kind of energy will be even greater than before past tier 7. So since I'm at 100 discipline on this build, I'm actually getting more fusion grenade energy on final blows than pre-patch. But the most important of the changes is that it now activates on radiant damage. While you're radiant, your weapon damage counts as empowered damage. So you can get radiant with either Fever and Chill by getting rapid solar precision hits, or by Ember of Torches so you can get a powered melee hit. And then you can just walk around getting solar final blows and ability kills with Ember of Empyrean to extend your radiance forever, and just walk around just generating just an unfathomable amount of grenade energy. It is insane, and the reason why this thing is going to dominate the Edge of Fate. So I recorded a couple of hypotheticals in the orrery as well as breakneck, so you can see just how much grenade energy that the Starfire can get in theory. So I wouldn't actually run this exact loadout, but this is just like a theory we're trying to prove here. But you can easily, legitimately run the Buried Bloodline along with the Demolitionist edgewise, and that would be a solid loadout to run. But instead, I'm running the Parasite and the Aberrant Action, but it's up to you if you want to run that. But with Buried Bloodline, on 4 final blows, you get Devour. And Devour is great because it heals you when you get final blows, but also it gives you grenade energy, and then I'm getting grenade energy from my Demolitionist Riptide that's 20% per final blow, and then you also get a 15% chunk from final blows for the Starfire Protocol when you use empowered damage, aka Radiant in this case. And you can see that it only takes literally 2 kills to fully get a grenade charge back. Like, the grenade spam is absolutely wild when you're just running around ad clearing and stuff. Like, there's nothing else in the game that's going to allow you to spam grenades at this rate. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous. The Verity's Brow doesn't come close. The Ashen Wake doesn't come close. Nothing comes close. This is just, like, I know the word broken is very overused, but it's very rare where it actually is legitimately broken, and this is legitimately broken. Like, this is not going to sit. Like, this is definitely going to see a nerf. I guarantee it. Like, Starfire got nerfed last time it was broken, and it's broken again. Like, it's gonna get nerfed. Like, I can tell you that with full confidence. So have fun with it for the next few months. I think it'll stick around for a few months. It'll be meta. People are going to be using it in the day 1 raid. If not, Bungie may even disable it for the day 1 raid. Cross our fingers, hope that doesn't happen. Then the background gameplay here, it's not even at its full power because, you know, the season just launched today as of when I'm recording this, and I didn't unlock all of the artifact mods yet, but there is an artifact mod called Shield Crush, So when you have Radiance, you get plus 25% grenade damage and also grenade recharge rate. So it could be even more ridiculous, 25% more ridiculous. And the fusion grenades with touch of flame to make them explode twice, and also easy ignitions with all of your solar shenanigans going on, they hit incredibly hard as it is. They don't need to be that much more powerful, but they are going to be. And furthermore, I'm only at tier 10 discipline. I only have 100 discipline on my build. If you can somehow get up to 200% discipline, your grenades are actually going to be hitting harder. They're just straight up going to do more damage, and I don't have that, so they're just going to be boss melting machines. And speaking of damage, I wanted to do a damage test to see who can kill Carl first between Starfire or Sunbracers. And I said in my exotic testing video that you have to unlock projections in the shooting range in the tower, but turns out you actually don't. And I tried to find information online about how to spawn these projections, but it was very vague. There's no info. Bungie doesn't tell you. You basically just have to figure it out yourself. And there's actually buttons that you have to like shoot off to the left in the shooting range to like spawn different like tribes. Like, it's very convoluted. It took a while for me to figure that out. Like, it took like a good hour to figure that out. But yeah, I figured out how to spawn Carl, but unfortunately they made him invincible. You cannot touch his health bar. We cannot do tests to figure out what kills Carl first. And I tend to do a lot of those tests in a lot of my build videos because I like to compare things and which can kill Carl quicker and how much damage chunks off of Carl's health bar and whatnot. Like, it's great for comparisons, but it doesn't work. And also, you can only spawn one Carl at a time. So I wasn't able to properly test the Sunbracers because I couldn't proc it. So Bungie, if you're listening, please like add a killable Carl and also allow you to spawn multiple Carls, or a Carl plus a bunch of trash mobs, like spawn multiple ads so that we can test like damage perks. Because as it sits, we cannot test kill perks and damage perks against Carl in the shooting range. You can only test raw damage. We need to be able to test perks. So needless to say, I wasn't able to fully properly use the Sunbracers, but I'm just going to show you against this other kind of Cabal how you're supposed to use them. So when you get a kill of the Sunbracers and you're going to DPS a boss, you want to throw your Sunbracer nades at the ceiling so that all those little projectiles created by Touch of Flame will rain down onto a boss. That is how you're going to get the most DPS out of the Sunbracers. And if I can find it, I saw a clip on YouTube of somebody soloing Riven with the Sunbracers. So you just throw your nades above Riven and all the projectiles rain down and do like extreme DPS. Like, it's kind of nutty. So you can see right there, just straight up melts Riven solo. So yeah, given the right scenario, the Sunbracers easily beat out the Starfire Protocol. So I did a test in the Conflux because that was my only choice. And this way you can get like a good idea of like how much energy you get back with the Starfire when you're not getting final blows. This is just raw empowered damage, and you can still get a good amount of nades. And in a raid boss DPS scenario, you're still going to be able to spam a good amount of nades, especially if you have 100 grenade stat. I was using the Witherhorde and an SMG to try to get as many damage ticks as I can to push through that empowered weapon damage as much as possible, so you can see how fast it kills him. And then when I try the Sunbracers, it actually still killed quicker than the Starfire. If there's ads around, you can kill quicker than the Starfire, but that's the thing, is you need ads. Not every boss is going to have trash mobs around. A lot of them in the game do, like especially in just like general activities. But if it's like a raid boss, you know, or like the boss at the end of a strike, maybe not. So it really depends on the situation. Sunbracers is a heck of a lot more situational, but given the right scenario, it can do a lot more than the Starfire. And I was using both of these exotics in different campaign missions. And something I found about the Starfire is, like, if enemies are moving around and you're like flown with heat rises, you will miss a lot of your sticky nades. Like, you're just gonna whiff. Like, they'll fly past an enemy and off a cliff, or just like on the floor, and they're gonna walk away from it, and you won't get full damage. Like, you actually have to like sit and aim and like make sure you stick that nade. But when you do, it just does like more than a rocket's worth of damage. Like, it hits incredibly hard. But if there's trash mobs around, Sunbracers is gonna hit harder. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like really impressed with the Sunbracers. And in general gameplay, if I had to pick one, I would pick the Sunbracers. Like, I'm being honest here. But if it's like endgame content, like Grandmaster level content, where you're not feasibly gonna get a powered melee final blow too often, obviously the Starfire is gonna shine. If it's a raid boss DPS phase and you're not gonna be able to hit a trash mob to proc Sunbracers, obviously Starfire is gonna shine. So I think the optimal thing to do in this scenario is not to pick one over the other, but is to pick both. Just have 2 loadouts on your hotbar and make sure each one has the same aspect and fragment setup, and also super, so that when you swap over from one build to the other, you don't lose your abilities. The only thing you're going to lose is your nade, because obviously one is going to be fusion nades, one is going to be solar nades, but you just swap over and you're good to go. So Starfire, you put it on when you're going to a boss phase, and you know, Sunbracers you put on for just general play when you're running around, you don't know what you're going up against. That's going to be like a good call. But you can even stick with the Sunbracers if it's a boss that has a bunch of trash mobs around. But anyways, those are my opinions stated. Do with that information what you will. If I had to pick one or the other, like if I'm loading back into the game right now and I had to pick one build to play, I'm sorry, Starfire, but I'm going with the Sunbracers. Just, you know, running through the campaign right now, general play, ads everywhere. I'm picking the Sunbracers. It's just going to put in more work, clears out rooms a lot easier. Like, you're not going to have to worry about, like, whiffing your nades against, like, moving targets. And especially, like, in this planet, there's a lot of, like, airborne enemies, like Shanks and the flying jetpack guys, like these little flying Vex guys. Like, I just feel like the Sunbracers is just a lot more user-friendly, especially in this campaign, like, at the moment. Like, that's what I'm going to pick, and that's what I'd recommend. But when the raid comes around, just get that Starfire build in the pocket, man. Get it ready. You're going to need to use it against a lot of bosses. So anyways, let's go ahead and break down the build. So you already know we're going with Touch of Flame, because we got to power up either our fusion nades or our solar nades. That's like a given. And then we got Heat Rises, because this is going to be our main method of survival. And for Sunbracers, it's very important because it gives you, you know, infinite melees. But when you have Heat Rises active and you use your Phoenix Dive, it actually grants you like a few seconds of restoration ×2 that we are then going to extend with Ember of Empyrean. So we have that infinite resto ×2. That's like very good survival. So pop your Phoenix Dive just like immediately after popping Heat Rises and just go on a spree. So that's what we want to do there. But if you're running the Buried Bloodline version, you may be able to get away with not running Heat Rises on your Starfire build and just get away with something else, because you got Devour going. But it's up to you. And then for the rest of our fragments here, Ember of Resolve, since both of these are Grenadier builds, we want Cure when we get a Grenade Final Blow. Torches is going to give us that radiance, so we get the empowerment online a lot easier for our Starfire. But this is interchangeable, however, for the Sunbracers variant. And finally, we got Ember of Searing. Fire sprites are nice for grenade energy on your Starfire build, but also the melee energy you get for defeating scorched combatants is obviously very important for the Sunbracers build, because you need your melee to proc your Sunbracers. So you can have the same aspect and fragment setup on both of these builds. So you can have 2 loadouts on your loadout hotbar, so you can swap between Starfire to Sunbracers seamlessly without losing your super or your abilities. And then moving on to our mod setup. Now this is for the Starfire, but this can easily work on the Sunbracers as well. And I actually found myself never really going for special finishers at all. I was just relying on my ability spam for the most part, but I do have a special finisher setup with charged up stacks on stacks and special finisher, a setup that I've talked about a lot in many of my build videos. But you can easily just run like orb mods, like if you don't find yourself using special finisher like I didn't, or if you're using a solar primary, like for example the No Survivors, which is very good right now. But then we got heavy-handed, firepower. We're going to be using our abilities a lot, so those orbs are nice. And then impact induction, hands-on, and ashes to assets for super energy. And then a solar siphon, solar reserves, and solar holster. And then we got Reaper and Powerful Attraction. The reason we got Solar Holster, though, is because if we take a look at our loadout, we are running the Parasite in our heavy slot. The Parasite is very good right now. I was destroying the campaign with Parasite. You know, we got ×20 You whip it out, it auto loads with the holster and just annihilate things. But it's very, very good right now because of the cauterized darkness artifact mod. So when something's affected by a darkness debuff like slow freeze or sever or unravel, they're going to take extra damage from all solar sources. So you just use like something like a Tanasha's Mastery, or anything that can apply a debuff that is darkness, and then you just blast them with a ×20 parasite and they get deleted. And I wasn't even using darkness debuffs, but the parasite was still putting in the work, and I highly recommend it. You can also benefit from Elemental Overdrive if you weren't running any darkness debuffs, because if you pick up a fire sprite, you're going to get a buff to your solar weapons. So that's pretty good to run as well. We got a lot of artifact mods affecting our build, a lot of things that we can utilize. We already talked about some earlier. There's also Elemental Benevolence. So if you Phoenix Dive and your ally gets caught in the crossfire of it and you heal them or cure them, you're going to get class ability energy for that. And then we got Refresh Thread. So we pick up a fire sprite. It's not only going to give us grenade energy, but also energy to our least charged abilities. So there's just a lot of help from the artifact here. And that about does it for basically both builds. You can run like the same like identical configuration loadout and everything for both of them, and just swap one exotic for the other. That's literally the only difference. However, one thing I will say is on the Starfire variant, I was running my Aberrant action that has enhanced Pugilist and Demolitionist because it felt like I needed a little bit more help with my ability spam. Sunbracers felt a lot more just like back-to-back infinite though, like it didn't need any help whatsoever. So I was running my Aberrant action that had Heal Clip and Incandescent. So I feel like it's a lot more freedom of your loadout on the Sunbracers build, whereas a Starfire, you need something more dedicated towards ability spam. So that Aberrant action roll is pretty good, or even the Buried Bloodline with the Demolitionist machine gun. Like I said, edge-wise, you can grab it from collections. It comes with Field Prep and Demolitionist, and it's solar, so it can help you keep up Ember of Empyrean. Now, as for the gameplay loop, these builds are, I would say, not very beginner-friendly. You gotta learn how to use them. I would say if it's a Starfire build, always like start by popping Heat Rises, and then go like snap in a Phoenix Dive, and then you can start going on your spree and just doing whatever you want. And on the Sunbracers build, I will typically, like if I have a nade up already, I'll pop Heat Rises to start things off and then do the snap Phoenix Dive, same thing as Starfire. If I don't have the nade though, I will proc the Sunbracers by getting that powered melee final blow. And then in that brief, like 5 seconds of infinite nades, I will pop Heat Rises within that, and then I'll still have enough time to throw another nade, and then I'll start chaining it back to back infinitely. Just make sure you stay airborne as much as you possibly can with these builds, because that is going to allow you to have infinite incinerator snaps, and that's a very good thing because you have impact induction to help recharge your nades. So I think that's it. I think I said all I needed to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Which build are you personally going to be using in the raid and or campaign? If you are a Warlock main, which do you prefer? I'd like to know your thoughts because I personally am torn between the two. I'm going to be using the Sunbracers for now, but I think later down the line in the season, once we start doing a lot more difficult content, I think there's going to be a lot more value to be had in the Starfire. And I think it's going to be a big part of the day one raid unless it gets disabled. So we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing. We got a lot of Edge of Fate content on the way daily. I have a lot of videos currently in the works, so do not miss out. Would love to see you stick around for more. It'd be greatly appreciated. And I will catch you in tomorrow's video. Have fun with the new season. See you later.